Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage and the Monday night live stream at 7 p.m. Many of you have been here before. Some of you are new here. Some of you have only been here a couple times. I want to thank all of you for being here. I do this on Mondays at 7, Thursdays at 3, and we try to have a good time and talk about cars. And sometimes we go off the rails and talk about all kinds of other things. But that's okay too. That is okay too. It's good to have some time together, even if we're not talking about cars. We can just have conversation, right? And I'll point out that if anybody wants to be part of the conversation, I did it I think last week with Wally. I don't know if it was Monday or Thursday, I don't remember which, but if you want to be part of the conversation, I can send you a link, and as long as you have a phone or whatever, you can be part of the conversation. You can join me here on the screen, and I'm open to that. I like that. It lets us see what other people are doing. If people are having questions or need stuff help answered, we can all do that. But again, thanks for being here. So if you're new, we try to focus on classic cars, and I say classic 50s, 60s, 70s. That's kind of the realm, and usually 60s is where we're at for the most part, because that's when they made all the cool cars, right? Yeah. So if you have a question, by all means ask it. If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, let's see if I get this right, then there's a group of people over here that usually have some great answers, and all answers that are good get a bell. I also give out bells for various other reasons, but we'll see how tonight goes. Let me see who's here right off the bat. First up, Terry Keithley. Evening all. Please hit the thumbs up and like button. Yes, I'll give Terry a bell for that, because that's pretty important. Jerry checking in from the Money Pit in Middle Tennessee, and a great fall day. Good. Auto Salvage Outlaws. Hello, everyone. Glad you're here. Nandu. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well with you all. Yes. And Otto is asking, how is everyone? Troy. Good evening, Barry and Barry Etz. Good to be with you again. Glad you're here, Troy. Roger, Hindsight 67, checking in from next door. Glad you're here, Raj. Robert, the Infernal Craftsman, evening all, was stripping undercoating from the rear wheel wells. Yes, I was covered in lots of black, nasty dust. That sounds like fun, Robert. Glad I'm not there to help. Auto Salvage is from Bama. Glad you're here. Wally checking in from the Great White North. Good evening, everyone. Hope all is well. I saw you had done your buffing video. I did not get a chance to watch it completely, but I saw you had posted some things. So I will watch it, I promise. Kay Kaysen, I guess, is how you... Is it okay? Got a wave. All right, glad you're here. Terry Baptist, hello from Pinellas Park, Florida. Bob Shoemaker, evening all from Oklahoma, where I hope everything is okay, right? Rick Gain, glad to be here for some relaxation time. I hope everybody is doing well. Rick is here from New Jersey. Troy, it's good to see you moving along with the Honda. Camaro is next. Yes, the Camaro is next. You're absolutely right. Randall Heath took a vacation from 67 Cougar long enough to harvest a moose, bear, and a wolf in Alaska this fall. Okay. We need to have a cookout. I'm ready to jump back into the cougar now. Good. So you've got all the game covered, right? Now you got cougar in there too. Kason, I have a 68 Mustang as well. Just getting started with the restore. Good. That's good to hear. I'm glad you're getting started on that. There's lots to do, lots to see. Rick, we keep hearing about Roger from next door. He should come over and sit with you and join the stream. He has done that before. And that's totally up to him if he wants to do that. Totally up to him. No pressure at all. He can do, whatever. But I'm just glad to have people in here and participating. If you've seen any of I've posted several things on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, trying to keep stuff flowing, keep people interested in what's going on. So you already know, and I'll show you, I'm working on the Honda. So today I got all the front end bolted on because I want to make sure, as I always say, test fit, right? Test fit everything before you finish. So at this point, I'm pretty close with how everything should fit on the car. And the hood opens and closes, latch works, all those sort of things. But the hard part is, aftermarket parts. But comparatively, these aftermarket parts fit better on this Honda than any of the stuff I put on Mustangs. That I can guarantee you. At least these parts. I did struggle with the bumper cover. It was, they're plastic and it's been sitting for quite some time, but it feels like I won't say it's narrow, but it's snug. It is very, very snug. And so when it comes time to actually put the bumper cover on, I may need to get Roger to assist me because I was tugging on it so hard. I actually was squatted down and I fell over on the floor because it came loose from the other side and I had to roll on my back. And I'm like, I've never had a bumper cover fit that tight before, but it's coming together. So now that I have all that stuff test fitted and worked out, I will be, prepping it and painting and trying to get everything as close as I can to matching what's on the car. So that's where I'm at with that. Now, the other thing I posted some about was the Mustang Jade. I have started to do the swap to the aluminum radiator, and I pulled out the original radiator. Got the fan off, and that was where I was trying to get that stuff out of the way. But I also shot some video of the process, and I used my thermal gun, the laser temperature sensor, whatever. And I noted exactly where the heat was in that radiator. Now, this radiator, I guess I really didn't think about it, but I kind of thought it was a 3-core. It wasn't. It's a 2-core, which, okay, a 3-core may have helped. I don't know. But I can't say that the flow is still very good in that thing. And we've talked about this before, cross flow and vertical flow and all that thing. But the temperatures that I was registering, and I don't have pictures of it in front of me, but I was reading up by the water neck on the top and the water neck at the bottom, and then on the passenger side at the top and at the bottom. You'd be amazed at how big the temperature variance is. So like I was getting temperatures of say 165, 170 up at the top by the water neck on the passenger side. In the meantime, on the lower left corner, I was getting temperatures of like 110. That's a huge difference. You come over to the left side and the top, and it was, 140 or something, but 165. And then on the bottom, on that side also, it was 160, whatever it was. But I was really surprised that, I guess I really wasn't surprised that the lower left corner was relatively cold in effect. The water was not, or, antifreeze is not getting all through that radiator. So anyway, I'm in the middle of that process. I ran into a few hiccups. I guess in my assumption, you know how that is when you assume something. I assumed that this radiator that was sent to me would have just bolted in. It looks like it would have set down in the channels and the top piece, the 68 has that clamp on type piece on the top. And I thought, I could just, it shouldn't be that hard, right? No. That's not how it works. On the original car, the lower mount points on the radiator are, 20 inches across or something, or 18 to 20 inches apart from each other. And the new radiator, it has like cutouts there, which the original does too. It has like a recessed area, but this one has these cutouts and then a fat middle section. Well, none of that touches those mounts on the outside. So that means I'm going to have to design a center carrier for the radiator. And along with that, I'm going to have to make it sit actually a little bit taller than where it is right now, because it would sit down on top of that flange where the strut braces mount. There's a flange there on the backside of the core support. and it would just sit on that. And I can't have it sit there. It'll sit there and chatter. There's nothing to keep it from moving in and out. There's nothing. So I've already got a design in my head, and I've got some material that I'm going to use. And what I want to do, most importantly to me, is I don't want to modify the original car. I don't want to sit there and weld something in that if somebody else owned a car and they said, hey, I want to put the original stuff back in, they couldn't do it, or they'd have to cut stuff out, right? So my goal is to utilize the brackets that are in there, and I'm going to make something bolt into those brackets where the rubber pieces sit. It'll bolt to those and create a channel that'll support the bottom side of the radiator. And I'm also going to I haven't tried this yet, and I don't know if it would work in this situation, but like Plastidip, I might try some Plastidip or something along those lines. Maybe this channel area that I create. I don't know. I've never played with Plastidip, but I'm thinking I want to put, have some sort of rubberized material down in that channel. And then at the top, again, the difficulty is the factory bracket. It's too narrow between the rubber part. So either I'm going to have to modify that, or I will make another customized bracket. I'd kind of like it to have, at least something, the top seem kind of original, but it may not work out that way. And that's fine with me. I'm going to be, doing my own thing with it, but I still want to keep it to where you can put the original radiator stuff back in it. Troy says, come out and play, Roger. Robert, the only thing that is a direct fit is gas and oil. Everything else needs to be modified. That is a good point. Jack, hey, Barry, sitting here drilling out spot welds, I guess. Good. Get some work done on that car, man. I see you've been posting stuff on Facebook about it too, asking questions. Wally, for my brother's 428, I used neoprene with an adhesive side to cradle a new aluminum radiator in new brackets. Okay. So that's a good thing. I have that. I just thought about that. I still have that foam roll that I bought. It's that 1-inch wide stuff that I bought for the window channels on the car. That's a good call. Thank you, Wally. See, that's why we do this. We want to be able to have some information. And my mind wasn't thinking just a sticky neoprene, something. Wasn't thinking that way. I was thinking something more permanent, let's say. But that's a great idea. Troy, I think your concept on the radiator is probably the best route because you drop the channel down to make it slower. I'll make it lower. Sorry. Could you drop the channel down? See, that's just it. I don't need the radiator to sit lower. The channel would sit basically on top of that flange that's on the, backside of the core support. And honestly, I need it to come up just a little bit, just to have a little more clearance where the radiator cap is, because this has its own kind of design of a radiator cap. I don't think there's really any easy way to make one sit lower in there, because you've got those, unless you've cut that stuff out. If you have like a Mustang 2 suspension and you've removed the strut where the strut rods mount, if you've removed those, then you could probably come up with something where you could modify that flange and create a bigger drop in there. But at this point, I don't need it. I need it to actually come up just a little bit. But I'm glad Wally, that's a great idea. The little bit of pad, great idea. I will be using something similar, if not exactly what I was referring to. Dave Conville, hey Barry, late to class again. No bell. Okay, no bell. Terry Baptist, I replaced ball joints on my 96 F-150. That sounds like fun. I'm glad you got it fixed. Got them replaced. I don't know if I've actually done ball joints on an F-150 like that. And I could. I just haven't. I don't think I have. Auto salvage. There should be able to buy rubber holders to bring it up. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there should be something. I mean, I'll come up with something. I know I have those because when I put in the window channels in the Mustang, I had bought some 1/8 inch thick adhesive, single adhesive or single sided adhesive foam, and it worked perfect for those window channels. And I have a roll that left over. I could just double up, put in 2 or 3 pieces of that and just have it sit in that channel, and that'd be perfect. Rick, as Johnny Cash would say, you need an adaptakit, I guess. Got a couple letters are throwing me. Adaptakit, I guess, what we're trying to say. But, I think it's going to be fine. Now, the other thing I have to do, and I was looking at that earlier before I came onto here, is I have to swap out the water pump. Because I ordered a water pump from a 70 model. And that puts the water neck on the driver's side, the lower water neck. And I know Dawn, if Dawn's not here yet, Dawn had mentioned that doing that, you lose your timing indicator. So there's a little metal tab that sticks out, and then you have your timing marks. And he had suggested, and I'll probably pursue this, find top dead center and put a new set of marks with like nail polish or something on the harmonic balancer and something on the timing cover. So I may pursue that. Just normally I hate to say it, I normally just time everything by ear. I always have, but I'm not against using a timing light. But I will have to make sure I have that marked on the other side so that the water neck, when it covers up the old stuff, or you have to take it off, I guess, to make the water pump fit. Auto salvage. I know Ford has the one. Let me see. I know Ford has one there on their radiator bottom on both sides, and they're large enough you can cut them down. Yeah. I mean, the in the Mustang, there's 2 rubber carriers with, let's say, rubber nipples that stick it into the bracket, keeps it from falling out. The problem is the radiator is wider than those channels, so that rubber won't fit over the radiator. It won't. It doesn't have enough length in the midsection for it to come up. So that's why I have to do some modifications. Steve, does anyone know where to separate wiring harness on 55 Crown Victoria power windows between doors and dash? Ouch. I'm going to say there's probably not a separation. Modern cars have always had, or just about anything new these days, have connectors that disconnect the door from the A-pillar. There's a connection right there in the A-pillar. You can unplug it and pull the door off. Okay, but these old cars, like when we did cars at the body shop, even into the 90s, like a Ford Crown Vic, it didn't have any separation like that. Well, it did, but you had to take the whole dash out of the car. They hid it in behind. But many times we just had to unplug those things and pull them all the way out of the door from, disconnected from the mechanical stuff, and get it all the way out of the door. There was no plugs to separate things. And I'm not saying you couldn't make your own set of plugs. If you cut it and you bought a set of pinned connectors, you could probably make something that you could put together. But I don't know of any other way to get it apart other than pulling everything out of the door. Jeff, awesome, man. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. That's awesome. You're my biggest supporter, Jeff. I'll say that. That is without a doubt. You're my biggest supporter, and I appreciate that so much. Auto salvage, same here. I do mine after I adjust the carbs. I set my timing to the engine, same as my carbs. Okay, yeah. Scott, evening all. I have a newbie question. Sorry. I am thinking of disassembling my 6x Mustang and having it blasted to see what I have. I'm concerned about corrosion starting once it's blasted. Okay. Typically what you need to do, depending on how you're going to get it blasted, I don't know what kind of media you're planning on using. Something like baking soda is going to be less aggressive and will, clean everything off very well without creating a lot of heat. Sand is going to be more aggressive. Um, and of course, you could have some warping and stuff like that, depending on how good somebody is with the tools. But typically, what you do, and depending on where you take it too, like Robert says here, some blasters will clean the body and prime it with epoxy primer. Others will use a chemical called Hold Tight to slow the rusting. I have not heard of Hold Tight, but that's what I was going to suggest. Either find a company who will do the blasting and then spray it with epoxy, to try to get everything covered up real good, or consider doing it yourself. But you're going to have to get a gun and a place to spray it and be quick in that timeline. So it depends on what's available to you. Try to find a good company that has may have something in place to do those sort of things. I think who was it? It was wait a minute, Randall. I think Randall he talked about doing like a dry ice blasting or something. I think he has a business doing that. I think Randall will have to chime in here and give me some help on that. Auto salvage said that was on a truck. Yeah, adjusting the carbs and set the timing. Yeah. Ron, greetings all from the Tri-Cities in Northeast Tennessee. Glad you're here, Ron. And again, Robert was saying some blasters will clean the body and prime it with epoxy. So, Jeff, glad to help you keep up the awesome videos you make. Thank you, Jeff. Sincerely. One of these days, I should find out where you're at, and we should go out and have a beer together. Doyle, dry ice blasting is less aggressive as well. That's what I was saying with Randall. I think he actually does that or has some sort of business. Scott, all good info. Thanks. This is a local guy I have been referred to. Okay. All right. D-Man's Garage builds. Trying to put my 37 project together for a concept car show here in Miami on the 20th. Okay. That'll be cool. 37 what, though? 37 Chevy, 37 Ford, 37 Dodge. They'll let us know what it is. Auto salvage. You can spray it with WD-40. It'll keep it from flashing, but before you put primer, it needs to be clean, good. Yeah, that's. I won't recommend that, but yeah, you could do that. You could do that. But I mean, you're right. But I know it's just going to be. You really have to make sure that thing is clean. Rick, awesome man, awesome. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. That is highly appreciated. Makes my day to have help like that. Thank you. Randall, I have used dry ice blasting to remove undercoating while leaving the underlying paint intact. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I didn't know you could do that. But I have not researched dry ice blasting either. So, but I know you're versed in that. At least I think you are. Scott, I'll have to ask Riverview dustless blasting. There you go. Dustless blasting. That's a good option. Jerry, I understand the ice blasting can be adjustable and can leave some primer on most of the car. Well, that would be impressive. That would be really impressive. I would like to see that in action. I mean, if you can leave, decide how much you want to leave behind, that would be amazing. D-Man, it's one of a kind. I believe it's a replica of the 29 Auburn cabin speedster. Okay. So when you say 37, though, 37, I'm guessing that's not feet. I'm guessing it's not 37 feet. I hope it's not 37 feet long. I was just curious because, is it based on a 37 of some sort? 37 chassis or something? Robert, I have crushed glass. I like crushed glass for blasting. No silica and it doesn't add any heat to the panel during blasting. See, there's another good input. Another good input. Randall used traditional sandblasting. He has used traditional sandblasting, wet sandblasting, corncob blasting, and dry ice blasting on my Cougar. Each has benefits. Dry ice leaves no secondary waste. That's a good point. Good point. Thank you, Randall. D-Man put a rebuilt Buick 215 with a 4-speed Muncie. Well, that should be interesting. You need to send me some pictures of that. If you got time, send me some pictures of that, and I'll post them up here so we can see what you got. So at the bottom of the screen, that's my email. If you can send me some pictures of that, I'll post them on here so we can see what you're working on. Or if you want to join the live stream and do a walk around and show us, you send me an email and I can send you a video link to get you on this live stream, because that sounds interesting. That sounds really interesting. Let's see. Terry Baptist, I found a 65 Mustang Coupe for sale in Florida for $3,000. Well, what condition is it in? Is it a V8 car? That's another big thing. V8? What are the options for that thing? Rick, I'm enjoying this live stream much more than I am the leftover microwaved big ziti I'm eating. The life of a bachelor. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, microwave food. I tend to eat that more than anything. I know I shouldn't be, but I do. I think we all do. Nick is checking in. Glad you're here, Nick. Jerry, I agree with the Infernal Craftsman. I use glass for all my blasting. Okay. So that's 2 votes for glass. Auto salvage, Terry, no. If the box is not rusted, it's good buy on a 66. Okay. Oh, talking about, okay, buying the Mustang. D-Man, and it was built in 1937. Found a penny leaded into the choke pull inside the cabin, and the plate that came with it is a 1937 Florida tag. That sounds interesting. It was built in 37, found a penny leaded into the choke pull inside the cabin. Huh. Auto salvage says 65. Yep. And D-Man says it's on my page. Okay. Well, I mean, people could check that out if they want to. Get a look at his what he's working on. And Scott says that would be interesting. Yes. Terry, there are 2 of them. One is supposed to be used as a parts car. Okay. Let me see if oh, okay. I'm gonna download this picture. Randall just sent me a picture. And that's pretty cool looking. Let me get that in here. That'll be up in just a second. So Randall sent me a picture. He says, just emailed you a before after photo of dry ice blasting undercoating. So let me show you that. This is cool. Look at that. I don't know. I mean, I've dry ice. So you got some, looks like the end of that thing is pretty cold, I guess, from the dry ice. I don't know what the temperature is on dry ice. I know it's awfully cold. But that's really cool. It is. Taking off the undercoating and leaving that primer. And I think you said it's on a 69 Mustang. That's amazing. That is really cool. Scott, you are all a wealth of information for me just starting with this project. I'm glad you're here, Scott, and getting information. Check out my channel. You can check out other channels. Dawn's Manufactory has some good stuff, and I keep wanting to say Robert, and I got to say the Infernal Craftsman has some good stuff. There's several of us on here that can you can get information from. Auto Salvage is saying, D-Man, he was watching your channel last night. Randall Heath, dry ice, 109 degrees below zero. There you go. Thank you, Randall. Auto Salvage, that is cool with dry ice, yeah, so to speak. That car must have been in great shape too, because look at that. There's no rust in those areas. That's under the seat riser. That car must have been really nice. Scott, that is awesome. D-Man, cool auto, thanks. Terry Baptist, is Brooklyn Pony still on the back burner for now? Yeah. Well, it's not even on the stove. It's not even on the stove. Yeah. I've had some conversations about it. I'm waiting on it to find its way out of here. It's got to go. I've done all I'm going to do to that car. So, like I said, I've had some conversations about it, and it's in my way at this point. It's in my way. So I got other stuff to build, other projects to go. Rick, according to Alexa, dry ice is negative 109 Fahrenheit. Yep. Isn't that convenient? When you can have those kind of answers ready at your fingertips, so to speak. I know that I don't have any of that equipment. The Alexa or whatever, Hey Google or whatever the stuff is. I don't use any of that stuff, but I know like my son and his wife, they're wired up that way. They have Google. Hey Google, turn on the TV, the channel so and so. Hey Google, turn on the lights, turn off the lights, whatever. I just don't. I'm just not. It's not in my wheelhouse. Not in my wheelhouse to do that sort of thing. But I get it. I mean, I get it. It is convenient. Jacob Reynolds, 67 Chevelle seam sealer after epoxy or after 2K primer. I would put it on after the epoxy. I would rather have the 2K primer as a primer. I think you could probably do it either way, but to me, depending on the color of the seam sealer too, depending where you're going with it, I would rather put the epoxy on, seam seal it because all that stuff is paintable, right? And then follow it up, with the primer. Now, I will say, let me just show you something, because as you were, where did I put it? I had bought this stuff, and then people would ask me about it, what I thought about it. And this is some Eastwood high solids seam sealer. Okay. And it says fast curing, non-sagging, paintable in 60 minutes, permanently flexible, withstands weathering, oxidation, salt exposure, gasoline, and most solvents. So let's see. But anyway, this stuff is black, and I liked it. I've always used brushable seam sealer, but I used some of this on something else I was working on, and I liked the way this stuff went. So it's Eastwood high solid seam sealer. I liked it. It flowed nice, and it did a really nice, it was easy to manipulate, get into the grooves, smooth it out with my finger and stuff like that. So, yeah. And here, Robert's following up. Epoxy is always first. I do seam sealer after epoxy. In my case, I recoat the seam sealer to help hide the color of it. See, that's what I was talking about, because the color is can bleed through in effect if you don't have it covered up. So, epoxy seam sealer high build. Rick, you could always use Siri on your iPhone, and ask questions. I could, but I have that function turned off. At least I think I do. I mean, I know if I said, "Hey Siri," it would not do anything. I have that turned off. Not like they're not listening to me anyway. Whatever I'm saying right here is being recorded on my phone the whole time, all our lives, blah, blah, blah. They always want to keep up with us. Terry, if I bought those two Mustangs, I would rebuild the parts car as a road course track only car because it doesn't have a title. Well, in Georgia, you don't have to have a title. Just saying. There's several states you don't have to have a title. And I've mentioned this before. I have not tried it. I would like to try it. But if you have heard of the Vermont loophole, anybody heard about the Vermont loophole? Apparently, you can get a Vermont title for just about anything. If you have some paperwork, bill of sale, whatever, VIN number on it, apparently you can send that to Vermont and they will send you back a title, a legit Vermont title that you can now take to your DMV and transfer into your state. I have not tried it, but I looked it up online and they say it works. They say it works. So consider that if you need to have a title. Look up if you have nothing to lose, other than a fee, whatever it is. But you could try the Vermont. It's called the Vermont loophole, and it's, as far as I know, it still works. Robert, I use the same kind of seam sealer, but it's white. Okay. Scott, let me tell you about my project. It's a 65 Mustang Coupe, 289, 2-barrel, automatic, factory, split bench seat, less than 100,000 miles. My folks bought it used in 73. It was my car in high school in the 70s. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool that you still have it and that, you have a history with it. Split bench is an interesting combination because, I say hardly any, but, that was a base model, was a split bench, and you had to option up to the bucket seats. So that's pretty cool that it has those options. Because if you go back and look at the 65 Mustang that I did, it's under the light blue Mustang. That car had a factory bench seat in it as well, and it was a V8 automatic. So that car has the same kind of history. Terry, anyone experienced with diodes dying in their welders? That's a good question. I don't have any experience with that. And since we're on talking about welders, I'm just going to tell you, the blue welder that I was talking about that I was sent to me, right? Not having good luck with that thing. Just saying. I'm just saying it right here. Just saying it. Not having good luck with it. So I don't know if it's me or my level of experience with the thing, but I've been having some trouble with it. In fact, I tried to use it to weld on this Honda. Didn't work like it should, and it could be something something I'm doing wrong. I'm so used to the equipment that I have, so I'm just saying, just saying. Auto salvage, Bama don't have titles on older cars. Yeah, Georgia, it's 25 years. Anything over 25 years doesn't have to have a title. But, if you're trying to pass something from state to state, you have to have something. So that's why I'm excited when I get an old car that has a title, because I know I can sell it anywhere. Nick, quarter panel, outer wheelhouse on a rotisserie with a roll bar and subframe connectors. I should be good to do that on there, you think? My gut says yes. I haven't done passenger side yet because of space. Okay, so you want to do the quarter panel wheelhouse on a rotisserie with a roll bar and subframe connectors. I would think you should. I mean, if the roll bar is going back to the frame rails, which I assume it is, going into the trunk, and you have frame connectors, I could see that working. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, I've never tried it that way, but if you've got the bracing in there and cross bracing, then I could see it working. But if it fails, it wasn't my idea. Just so you know. Ron, I bought a car in North Carolina with no title and brought it to Tennessee and was able to get it titled here. Okay. That's cool. Scott, leave it to Vermont, neighboring state. Yeah. Terry, I'm afraid of winding up in jail after overusing Vermont loophole thing. I don't think there's any, as long as you have paperwork, signed paperwork that says this bill of sale, blah, 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 I don't think there's really any, people have been doing it for years. And it's because he's watched it. Okay, the light blue Mustang. Nick is asking Terry, what's your welder doing? Auto salvage, what? Let's see. Well, come across Alabama line. Wait a minute. Tell them to come across Alabama line, go in and buy a tag with a bill of sale, and then you take that to Florida and get your title. Okay. I didn't know about that either. Let's see. Troy, I'll stick with my Lincoln. It has proven reliable. Yes, I agree. I agree. Scott, oh shoot, I've been watching a lot of videos and paying attention to the tools and equipment each use. Yeah. Well, there's lots of lots of variables that different people use different things and different brands and whatever. And I had some success using that other welder, and for whatever reason, I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know. I had some problems with it, and I swapped back to my red welder, my Lincoln, and finished the job. Just saying. But the blue plasma cutter that I have is pretty awesome. That much I can tell you for sure. That thing is pretty awesome. So I don't know I don't know what happened or what's going on. Nick says, yeah, it does. Thank you, Barry. You're exempt from my failure. Okay. Terry, when I press the trigger, it kicks the unit off. I didn't even strike an arc. So there's the question for you, Nick, or the statement from Terry. Press the trigger, it kicks the unit off. I didn't even strike an arc. Well, that's a tough one. It's got to be sending a signal to the computer or, to the processor, whatever you have in it. Yeah, something's out of sorts on that. What it is, I don't know. Auto salvage. As long as you have a tag receipt from a state, you carry that back to yours and you get a title. Okay. As long as you have a tag receipt from a state. Yeah, I haven't really had to try to get a title for anything. Robert, for welding on cars, the older style transformer welders work better than the newer inverter types. The inverter ones don't like the short tack welds that we do. Yeah, that is true. That is true. And that's part of the situation I ran into. It just it was doing some really weird stuff. Nick, is your nozzle clean? No metal buildup from nozzle to contact tip. That's a good question. And Nick says that will ground it out sometimes and kick it off. All right. Doyle, I bought my Cutlass without a title, bill of sale, ownership, affidavit, and police VIN inspection in Tennessee gets a title. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they have any real provisions in Georgia because they're really like I went to register a car. In fact, it was a 69 Camaro that I had a title from Arizona. And I went to register it. And this was like 20 years ago. I said, here, I want to get a tag and transfer the title. And the people in the tag office were like, you don't need a title, just a bill of sale. And I said, no. I want a title. And they said, but it's over 25 years old. Nobody cares. You don't need a title. And I said, I'm here to pay for a title. Give me a title. I want this car titled in my name. And she was like, but nobody, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I said, it matters if I want to sell it to somebody out of this state. And then she was like, oh, well, okay, fine. I'm here to pay. Let me pay the money to get this title. Let me throw some money at you. You give me a title. That's your job. Don't tell me not to have it. Terry, I have a 1998 Snap-on MIG FM 140. Well, I mean, I'm sure that's a good welder, but I can't tell you what the what could be causing the problems. Robert, the Lincoln and the Hobart 140 are old style and just work. Yeah, that is true. They just squeeze the trigger, squirt, squirt. It's good to go. Shane, Pennsylvania wants both parties there with driver's license. Really tough to get title here. Yeah. Yeah, that's no fun. Doyle, my inverter welder has same issues because it feeds wire before turning on the gas. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I had to. I started the weld with the thing. The first weld looked okay. The second weld, again, I'm trying to do little welds, and it was acting all kinds of weird, and I had to quit. Kenny is laughing. Yeah, I guess you're laughing at my comments at the tag office. Scott, well, sounds like I may want to stop by the New York State title office. I guess New York State. Yeah, make sure you've got a title. If you can get one, get it. Especially, if you're looking at eventually selling something, it just makes it so much easier to have that piece of paper. Because we all have to have that piece of paper, right? The government has to get their cut, get their share. And in Pennsylvania, it depends on where the car is coming from. Okay. Well, I have not, like I said, I have not tried the Vermont loophole yet. Maybe I should. I've got the Camaro, the rollover Camaro, and maybe I should just send off the paperwork and see if they'll send me a title. Wouldn't hurt. I don't guess it would hurt. Okay, so what else was there I was talking about? Oh, the 67 Mustang, the coupe that I want to turn into a fastback. I have I've reached out to the guy that had parts. I talked to him early this year. I messaged him. And I sent him some more messages, and I haven't gotten back any responses yet. So I don't know if he is I guess he's still in business. I don't know. But I may have to do some scrounging to find the sheet metal that I need for the fastback project. I haven't really dug into it yet to try to find that stuff. I was really hoping this guy that I had contacted would have stuff on hand that I could just get it and be done with it. But I have not heard back from him yet. Terry, have you ever bought a car from Canada? No, I have not. Nandu got a truck from AVA. What's AVA? Got a truck from Ava, I don't know, and had the title sign, went to the tag place and got a Pennsylvania title. I don't know, Canny or Caney, I'm not sure how to say that. Ripley, how do you feel about deleting the cast on a 99K 1500? Both are clogged. That's up to you. I don't know what the restrictions are where you live. Like 99. So you got 2009, 2019. We'd have a few more years to go here in Georgia before you could get away with that, because it has to be 25 years old or older to be exempt from emissions testing. And I know whenever they do the emissions test, they actually take a mirror and they look underneath your car to make sure the cats are on there. So I'm not against it. Now I don't know how it'll affect your anything else, with your O2 sensors and all that stuff. I don't know. So you'd have to research a little bit and see if it can be done without it causing more harm than good. Nick, somebody from Vermont comes by and punches you in the face and hands you your title. Well, that hurt. Okay. Nandu, sorry, should have said Virginia. Oh, okay. So he got a truck from Virginia and had the title signed, went to the tag place and got a Pennsylvania title. Yeah. Yeah, as long as you've got a title, that's signed correctly, because that's another big thing. If you don't, I know there's sticklers for that here, at least in Georgia. I'm sure everywhere they should be. Like if you have your first name and your middle name and your last name on the front of the title, that's exactly how they want it on the back of the title. First name, middle name, last name, printed and signed exactly the same way. And I've had to go, I know in the past there's been at least one occasion where I took a title in to get it transferred, and they were like, they didn't sign this correctly. I said, what do you mean? And they said, see, it has to have their middle name in here. And I was like, oh, all right. I'll go find them and have them sign it. Luckily, they were not far away in the parking lot, and I had them sign it. It was all taken care of. Auto salvage, replace cars, keep cats on there if you're not. Wait a minute. Keep cats on there if you, if not, you will be replacing the engine in a few years. Okay, so he's saying keep the cats on the car, or on the truck. I mean, Michael, are you talking about Peterson Restoration? He has never got back to anyone I know of that tried to contact him. No, I am not talking about him. There's a vendor up in Pennsylvania, Ohio border that he has parts, or he did have parts. So I don't know what's going on. I may have to just call him tomorrow or something and see, hey, what's going on. But we'll find out. Auto salvage, we missed some typing. We missed some. I'll tell you what, man. I'm trying to read this as best I can. We some mistyping fools tonight. That's what happens when you work on cars. I'll give you a bell for that. I know it gets tough sometimes. I try to read what's written sometimes, and it's like, get some, fat thumbs going. I know. I've done it myself. Nandu, it depends on the state the car comes from. Okay. Okay, so it's Connie. My name, Connie. Okay, my name is pronounced Connie. Will deleting cats cause a strong exhaust odor? I don't think it would cause a strong exhaust odor. No worse than a regular old car. I mean, you're going to smell fumes, but it could affect how the truck runs overall. Because you got to remember, if it's a computer controlled system, it has, I guess 99. I don't know if it's which series truck that is. If it's the last of that body, or if 99 was a new body, the transitional year. So if it's like the 5.3, you got fuel injection, right? You have O2 sensors, mass airflow sensor, all those things, and it reads the flow of exhaust. Now the previous version would have had the 5.3 or 5.7, and it would still have a throttle body wouldn't have the fuel injection. I don't think they had fuel injection at that point. But regardless, it still has to read the flow of exhaust, and it'll might end up fighting it, and creating more problems than it's worth to cut them off. If you can replace them, and you could buy sometimes. I know I bought a pair of cats. You can get cheap ones. You can, or you can buy the factory ones and pay an arm and a leg for them. But you got to be careful with what kind of effect it's going to have on the actual engine. Randall, let's talk about titles for cars with no titles. Have been wondering what the thieves that stole my truck and trailer full of equipment in San Antonio last month are doing with my unrecovered stuff. Oh man. So you had a truck and trailer full of equipment stolen in San Antonio last month. Well, I can tell you more than likely it's already been gutted and parted out and sent to Mexico. More than likely. They probably don't care about a title. Fast and Furious checking in. Hello, everyone. Nick, he's from Bama, man. You have to say it with the accent. Yeah. Robert, the stolen trucks from Texas are across the border before you find out it's stolen. That's what I was saying. That right there. It's already in Mexico. Went to Mexico the same day. Auto salvage on a tablet and keyboard, not like a computer keyboard. Yeah. I'll bet. I know that feeling. I can tell you when I'm going through typing on my phone, how many times I misspell words, and I'm like, that's not what I was typing. Terry, here in good old Illinois, they rape you on old cars, tax you on the purchase price, greedy, blah, blah, blah. You know what? One thing I will tell you, in Georgia, they have this ad valorem system. And it's ridiculous. I'll just put it that way. They base it's a tax that you pay to get the tag on your car. So you could buy a car from a dealership. Let's say it's a $50,000 something. You got to pay sales tax. You got to pay dealer destination and prep charges and whatever garbage they throw onto it, right? And either the dealer, I think, can charge you the ad valorem, or you can go to the tag office and they'll charge you the ad valorem tax. And that number is ridiculous. You could be, if you bought you could probably look it up. If you look up Georgia ad valorem, I think you can actually punch in a 2020 Silverado or something, and it'll tell you how much you're going to pay. And I've seen people pay $2,500, $3,000, $3,500 just to get the tag on their car. And here's where it got interesting. Years ago, you used to be able to buy, if you had let's say a half-ton pickup, and you paid the ad valorem every single year. Like I had a 99 Silverado, and the ad valorem on that truck years ago was, say, $60. The next year, it would go down to 58 or 55. And then the next year, it would go to 53 or 52. So it would decline with the value. Well, what Georgia figured out was if you bought that truck and you were paying that little number every year to get your tag, and then you sold that truck, they weren't getting a cut of that. They weren't getting anything out of it. So they changed the rules to where if I bought this car, let's say it was a 2018, and I bought a 2018, and the ad valorem tax on that car, or whatever the value was, let's say it's $2,000, right? And you pay that up front. And then every year you go pay $20 to get the sticker to put on your tag. Every year, $20. Well, I bought a 2018. I paid $2,000 in ad valorem, and I decided the next year that I was going to sell the car. The next guy buys it. He pays me $19,500 or whatever. Guess what? He is going to pay $2,000 ad valorem tax as well. That's where they're really getting you, because I've already paid it. I've already paid the ad valorem tax for the life of that car. The next guy buys it. He's paying it again. And he sells it, and 2 years later, the number may go down a little bit, but the next person is going to pay it. That's where they really get you. And then you also used to be able to say, I bought this 52 Chevy, I paid $100 for it. Oh, that's going to be $2 tax and whatever the fee is. You used to be able to do that. Now, and this is where it gets really, really kind of screwed up. Let's say you have a Shelby Mustang, right? 68 Shelby Fastback. They normally go by the book value of the actual car rather than what it could be selling for. So like if a 68 Mustang is worth book value is $2,500, you're going to pay next to nothing on that ad valorem. But you could turn around and sell that Shelby for $70,000. They don't even notice. They don't even pay attention to it. But they really get you on that ad valorem now to where everybody's going to pay. Every time you sell that car, next guy, he's going to get rung up too. Yeah. That's where they get you. Auto Salvage saying, that's right, Nick. He's laughing. Connie, you can get Fowler plugs put in the O2 holes, then add the sensor. Okay. I mean, I haven't tried that, but I guess you could. Troy, Kentucky Mustang lists a conversion kit for your 67. I don't know if they actually have it. It is costly. Yeah. Well, like I said, the guy that I was talking to had a really good price, and it was all Dynacorn. But I would have to drive there to get it, and I don't care. I would drive. I'll make a road trip because the shipping would be outrageous on that stuff. Robert, the issue with the 99, when you pull the cats, the computer has O2 sensor on both sides, and it will set a code as the rear ones won't be what it expects. There are modules to plug in to bypass it. Okay. I think that's what he was talking about earlier. Connie said something about Fowler plugs. Taw's Mustang, I sell cargo trailers. Let me know if you need one. Well, I've always wanted a cargo trailer. But I don't think I'll like one of the enclosed ones. I always thought it'd be cool to have an enclosed, nice big enclosed trailer. But thankfully, Roger has a nice car trailer next door that gets used infrequently. Sometimes I use it. Sometimes some other people use it. Roger uses it. It's been very handy to have. Shane Randall, the thieves probably drove to California where theft is 100% acceptable. Yeah. Rick, I use dictation on my iPhone. Sometimes speech to text comes up with some rather interesting mistakes. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. Rick, we were talking about that. I mentioned before, I do deliveries for Uber Eats at night. Typically, I do these, deliver food. And whatever they have in there for their AI to figure out words, sometimes I just get so mad at it. One place in particular I've talked about. There's a subdivision called Lakemont. Lakemont, Lakemont. If you go into that subdivision, a lot of the roads are lake related, right? And the AI, whatever voice command will tell you, turn right on Lakemont. Okay, great. They don't tell you to turn right on Lacapoint. Lake space Point. Actually, no, there's no space. Lakepoint. This is Lacapoint. How can you say Lakemont, but you can't say Lake Point? It's the same. There's no word in the English language that says Lacapoint, but it does it all the time. And one of them I ran into was a road called Bambi Lane, and it was Bamby. I think it was spelled Bambi Lane, and they called it Bombay. So I get it all the time when I'm trying to do the delivery stuff. Terry, I don't buy cars from dealers because they try to take you for everything you got. Yeah, and then some. Yeah, I haven't bought any car from a dealer in a long time. Doyle, have you heard of Muscle Car GT for your fastback parts? Pete at SWRNC says it is the best aftermarket fastback quarters he's ever bought in 30 years in restoration work. Well, who makes the parts? Is it not Dynacorn? Uh, and I don't know who SWRNC is. Muscle Car GT for fastback. No, I have not. I have not looked them up. I may look into it. Wally, in Canada, you pay the appraised value. Now that is a kick, yeah, in the knots. Yeah, Robert, they started that tax here in Texas a while back because used car dealers were reporting the sale prices far under what they really sold it for. The state, the House, always wins. Yeah. Scott, I don't remember paying ad valorem tax when I moved to Georgia, but I got nailed when I moved to South Carolina. Then I made it to Louisiana. Yeah, I don't know what I don't know what year you were here. Um, we've been here 30 years, and there's always been an ad valorem tax, and it's yeah, they get you. They get you. Troy, amen, Barry, Georgia is screwing us on the tax. Yeah, and it makes me mad. You think about it. No, I don't know why anybody's not, what do we do about it? Like, this guy pays the ad valorem, then the next guy continues to pays the whole full amount. It's ridiculous. If it's paid once, it should be paid for the life of the car, honestly. Nick, I got to hop off and work on my car. Y'all are bad for progress. Haha, good night, everyone. Glad you were here, Nick. I appreciate you being here, just even if you're just listening. Randall, wonder what tech the thieves use. No broken glass. Chip key is supposed to prevent theft. In and out in minutes, and GPS tracking disabled. Wow. That's those aren't amateurs. Those aren't amateurs. I've seen some videos, Randall, that are kind of scary. In effect, where they have a replicator type of, I don't know what the wording is, but like I've seen it where a video where they had the thieves came and showed up outside somebody's house, and what they don't tell you is your key fob. If you have like a keyless entry or whatever, the auto start type of thing, your key fob, I think, is always sending a signal to your car. I think it's always sending a signal. And what these thieves do is they have a reader. They'll show up outside of your house or whatever, wherever the key fob is, and they will pick up that signal, and then they can replicate it and use it to actually unlock the car. And then they have a ping device that sends that same signal to the car, and they can start it up and drive it. So that's a really high tech type of deal. And I've seen people I've heard of people like waiting in a parking lot. Somebody walks away from their car and they hit the lock button, boop, boop, send the signal. The guy's sitting there with a scanner, gets the signal, punches it up real quick. He can jump in that vehicle and leave. So I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but it's pretty crazy what they're able to get away with now. Randall, he used to have a 28-foot cargo trailer. Man, sorry to hear all that, Randall. That's not good at all. Auto salvage. I think all states take for ride on taxes on everything. Yeah. Terry, SWRNC stands for Southwest Rod and Custom. Okay. Well, I may have to look up. Doyle said, let me go back up there where it said Muscle Car GT. Okay. Robert, Muscle Car GT is a manufacturer. Dynacorn buys and resells them. If you look through the Muscle Car GT catalog, you'll see all the weld-through primer parts. Really? What, do you have to have a dealership to get to those? Be a dealer? Scott, I came to Georgia in 88. Actually, I was here. I did not have a car tagged in Georgia. I moved here, first came here to military in 85 to 88. And then I left and came back in 91 after I went to aircraft school. Doyle, not Dynacorn, Southwest Rod and Custom, now in Moab, Utah, moved from Dallas. Okay, I'm just going to type this up. Okay. I have that, at least I have it pulled up so I can look at it later. Randall, on a happier note, I'm the proud owner of a well-appointed 2022 Ram 3500. Okay. Well, that's a mean truck right there. Good for you. I mean, I'm glad you got at least that taken care of. Give you a bell for that. Shane, is actually better to chip scan. Is actually easier to chip scan push button start than the old key and tumbler. Some technology is not better. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, all you have to have is the right equipment, and it's out there. It's out there. Somebody makes it and sells it. Rick, sometimes I think technology hurts us more than it helps us. Yeah. In a lot of cases, I could find that to be very true. You know, we're so I don't want, maybe soft isn't the right word, but we're so accustomed to having the conveniences of of this having this wonder tool we have in our hands. You think about this phone, what it's capable of, what you can do with it, and just so many things. As somebody had said, you saw a picture a while ago where this has replaced, well, first it's a phone, right? It's replaced your old Walkman headphones. It's replaced your handheld or a GPS map system. It's replaced your laptop, everything, calculators, all these things that we use these things for every day. And of course, they're listening to us. It's not even on, and they're listening to us. We start talking about some things and say, hey, I want to have some tacos tonight. Boom, pretty soon you're seeing ads for tacos, right? Because they're listening. They're listening. Terry, Pete owns and runs Southwest Rod and Custom with his wife Minnie. Oh, okay. I haven't. I don't even. I guess I may have heard that name, but I've not followed him. Not seen him or kept up with him. There's lots of shops around, but if he must be a pretty good sized shop to be known around the area. I'm guessing. I don't know. What else was there? Something else I was going to mention. Somebody had asked me a question earlier in the week. I was trying to remember what that. I can't remember what it was. So if anybody has any questions, if you want to bring up any questions or ideas, let me know. Come up with some. Let's see here, Jerry. I run a $65 million business on an iPhone. That's that's what I'm saying. The technology we have today, it's just amazing, And I think every one of us, we're all obviously we can operate computers and do these different things, but how much do you panic if you lose this thing? Because first of all, this is like your lifeline now to everything. It's loaded with information, it's loaded with personal information, photos and emails and contact information, all that stuff. And you lose one of these now, you're like, oh, I'm in big trouble. And a lot of people use this to even pay for stuff. You got your, I don't know, Google Wallet and Apple Pay and all those different things where you can go up to your register and pay with your phone. It's just become quite the accessory. And again, if you lose something like that, yeah, it's not good. It's not a good thing. Jeff, let's get some thumbs up on the stream. There's 45 people here, only 15 thumbs up. Yeah. Get some thumbs up. Get some thumbs up on here. Michael, have you done anything with the Mazda yet? Actually, I had a friend stop by who has a lot of good tools, a lot of scan tools. We did he has a OTC. What was the name of it? It was a scanner. It had a big screen on it. I can't remember. There was OTC something, and he was really going through it and looking things over. Couldn't really find anything specific to pop out at us. So we tried a fuel pressure test as well. He had a Mac Tools fuel pressure setup. Put that on there. It's reading 55 pounds, running fine. And he made a video of some of the information, and he contacted a friend of his who owns like a business. And his thought was, and I have not tried this yet, but his thought was the rear main seal is leaking. Now, I don't see oil coming out of it, which in my mind, when I hear rear main seal, I'm thinking oil leaks, right? Well, he's thinking, the guy has said he's heard of this happening or seen it happen to where the rear main seal leaks and it'll pull air in. And that causes problems. It causes it to show a lean. And he said what you can do is take some ether. And when it's running, get it up on the lift. And where like it showed that smoke coming out, that very well may have been where the leak was. It may have been the rear main seal. He said, spray some ether in there and you'll be able to see, how it reacts. So I just, not that I really want to mess with the rear main seal, that just doesn't sound like fun. I don't want to crack the oil pan open and get all that up, but that may be what the problem is. Good question, by the way. Thank you, Michael. Boogie Bum. Security has always been about keeping most people honest. There will always be the professional thieves that will find a workaround, from hot wiring cars to stealing wireless signals. Yeah, that is true. Locks on your house really only keep out the honest people. That's exactly right. Terry, I was fighting with the welder last Thursday and missed you. Yeah, I understand that. Fighting with the welder thing. Connie, the brake fluid ran dry in my 66 Caprice. Should I fill it up and start pumping the brakes? It still has drums all around. Oh, okay. So you say it ran dry. Let me ask you this. How long did it take to run dry? And why did it run dry? Because the stuff really doesn't evaporate. It had to leak somewhere. That's your bigger thing. Where did it leak to? Is your master cylinder defective? Is it leaking down the firewall? You could put fluid in there. That's if it's got drum brakes, it probably has a single bowl, right? I'm going to guess it's got a single bowl master cylinder. You could do that. I might recommend changing the master cylinder anyway, just because, and also, prime it before you put it on, bleed it before you put it on the car. But it's possible it could still be working, but I don't know. Wally, I watched a show about how a lot of electronic stores like Fry's are going out of business as no one needs a camera, phone, calculator, GPS, radio, alarm clock, etc. Yeah. It's amazing when you really think about it. How many things okay. Did you even mention radio? Yeah, radio. I can tell you right now, I am sick of listening to the radio, broadcast radio. Sick of it. Now, I know a lot of people have the pay service and stuff like that they listen to, but I'm tired of it. Every time I turn on the radio, it's a commercial. And I'm just tired of it. So what do I listen to? Well, iHeartRadio. Now, granted, there's still commercials on here, But if you use iHeartRadio, look up 96 Rock. It's an expired Atlanta station. Went out of business in 2015. Look up 96 Rock and just start listening to that channel, that station. But that's the point. I love the fact that I can take this and connect it to this, and I've got all the radio that I need. And then if I get a phone call on this, this tells me I have a phone call, and I can decide whether I want to answer or not. So all this stuff is cool, for the convenience factor. But like you said, the GPS, all these things, alarm clock, there's so many. I mean, I don't even know what I would compare this to as far as a computer in the timeline of our computer systems. Because this outdoes almost anything now. Almost anything. Terry, have you ever had a car that was a money pit? Let me think about that. I think I did. I think I've had a couple of cars. I'll be honest, almost every car that I've had, I will say I've made money on. Almost every car. Now, one car that I ran into, a truck that I got, I had gone to a dealership and bought a used vehicle. I needed a pickup truck. And I bought this truck, and the truck itself was let me think what year it was. 84. I think it was an 84 Chevy Silverado. Red on top, white in the middle, red on the bottom, two-wheel drive, and it was a long bed. I went and bought this thing. I don't know if I traded something or I just paid cash for it. It wasn't very expensive. And I needed a truck, and this thing was nice. It was solid, looked good. And I get it, get the truck, and I note that the odometer on the truck, it said like 123,000 miles on it. I was like, oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I go through, get all the paperwork done, and I bring the truck home, and I start driving the thing. And things start acting up pretty quick. I was like, what is going on with this truck? And I'm looking at it. The more I look at it, the worse it's getting. And I'd never seen a truck leak differential fluid out of the brake drums, like out of the end of the axle housing. And I start looking at this truck, and I'm thinking, what is going on with this? So I pull the wheels off, pull the drums off. It's got grease all through the shoes and stuff. Take it apart, pull the axles. I end up putting in new seals, new brake drum or new brake shoes, put it back together. I'm driving it. Something else started going wrong. And it just, the tranny started slipping, and I'm like, what is going on here? Well, it was turning into a money pit. But when I got the paperwork for the car, it had a title. They sent me the title. All the documentation on the dealership paperwork said 120, whatever it was, 125,000 miles. All of it. Everything. And I even asked about it. I said, is that the correct mileage? And they said, yeah, it's right here. Let me show you. The title shows up, and it had 225,000 miles on it. Somebody had doctored the odometer or something. And when I got the title, I got mad because that's not the truck that I bought. I went straight back to the dealership and I blew a fuse. And I said, give me my money back. I don't want this. You can have this back. You falsified these documents. And they were like, oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. I said, well, you got to do something. You got to do something. I'm not taking this. This truck is not what I'm buying. I'll go get a lawyer because you lied to me. So it just so happened that they had a 79 short bed Chevy, red on red, nice wheels, and it was actually a low miles vehicle. I mean, I think it had like 90,000 miles on it. Thing was sharp. And they said, I'll tell you what, because they were panicking at this point. They said, oh, we'll just give you that truck straight up. straight trade. And I looked at that and I said, oh, fine. Here. Gave him the other truck and I took that 79 and I drove that truck for a while. And then uh, I ended up selling it, making money on it. But that 84 model, that could have very easily turned into a big time money pit with all the problems it was having. But I think I've had a couple others like that, maybe two. I usually know when to cut bait, right? Get out of there, and try not to get caught up in that. Shane is saying, Terry, has anyone ever have a car that wasn't a money pit? Well, I can tell you, and Roger can tell you too. He can attest to it. Just about everything I've ever bought and sold, I've made money on. Just about everything. Rick, when I was in 5th grade, my teacher told me if I learned how to use a computer, which was new to our classroom, it would change my life. He was right. It did. Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing for like me. I say unfortunate. I graduated high school in 85. I think we had some computers, something. We had something to computer-ish. I know they had monitors on the front and keyboards. I didn't learn anything about computers at all when I was in school. Other kids did. I never learned how to type. I never learned any of that stuff. And it just, some people that learned that stuff have really gotten way further ahead in life. Boogie Bomb, I'm needing to replace my brake lines and leaning towards the copper nickel tubes and bending my own. Any suggestions? Go ahead. I've used those. I like them. They're easy to manipulate. I think I used those on Jade, actually. I think I put those on the back of Jade. And yeah, use those. Just be careful when you make the ends, because it's soft enough that I think you can cause problems if you overdo it. So just be careful with it. Connie, it's been sitting, no puddles. Well, the fluid had to go somewhere. Auto Salvage, I remember when you stated your YouTube channel, remember the Chevy truck. Okay. I remember when you stated your YouTube channel. Remember the Chevy. Okay. Michael, did you get the TSB about the purge valve stuck open? I did. I think you sent me that, but I have not pursued it yet. I may have to look at that. Or no, not you, Michael. There was another Michael. I'm sorry. Another Michael was helping me out. But I have not checked the TSB yet. Is it you that sent me that or somebody else? So I've had a few people contact me and trying to help me out with that car. So if it was you, thank you. If not, then I'll have to keep looking. But I have to check. I will have to check that purge valve. Although I think whenever the other Michael that was here, I think he checked that with his system, and I think it showed good. I think. Robert, I've been listening to 96 Rock since you mentioned it. Better than the streaming services, and it's free. Yes, it's a fantastic station. Fantastic. I wish they still had some of their, they have some of the old DJs on there talking, but there were several bits that they did that were just hilarious, and one of them was Dingo Boy. I think it was something maybe Adam Carolla created, and he would play these segments called Dingo Boy, and it was just funny. Yeah, I think you go on YouTube and look up Dingo Boy, and maybe see some videos of that, or at least soundtracks. Bob, when mixing primer and the numbers 4 to 1 to 1, what number do you start with? Would you start at 4 and then go to the middle row and go to 4 again, and then go to the right now? Yes, if you have a mixing cup, and I could just, let me see. I have this big cup here. This would be a great example. I don't know if you can see it or not. Probably not. Hold on a second. Let's see if I have an actual. Yeah. So that's what you're talking about. 4 to 1 to 1. So what you do is the 4 that's all the way to the left. In this case, I don't know how that looks on the screen, but the lowest 4, you fill it to that mark, and then your 1 goes to the next 4, and then your next 1 goes to the next 4. That's how that works. So 4 to 1 to 1. So really, if you look at it, it's that would be the first 4 is 4 parts equal value, and then the next one is an equal value 1/4 of those 4 parts, and then the next 4 is an equal value of, again, the 1/4 of the first 4. Hope that makes sense. But yeah, follow the pattern up. Good question, Bob. Good question. Rick, for an old drum brake car, I would recommend changing the wheel cylinders as well. Yes. Good point, Rick. Good point. Very important to keep up with those. And what else should we change? Class, what else should we change? The brake hoses. Yeah. Yeah. Always check the brake hoses. John Van Horn. Hey, Barry, sorry I'm late. I've been working on the Mustang. Yes, Mustang. Nice chat. I'm glad to hear, John. John, by the way, 96 Rock rocks. Yes. I'm telling you, it's a fantastic station. Fantastic. Robert was saying, Bob, go to the 4 to 1 to 1 line on the mixing cup, and there are 3 columns on it. Then you use the same number on each row. Yes. Yep. Boogie Bomb is saying at Rick. And thanks, I will. Okay. Oh yeah, check about the drum rigs, I guess. Terry, I came up in the dark ages. LOL. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm definitely in Generation X, but I grew up with the Atari and Nintendo and video games and all that sort of thing, but just never got into the computer stuff like later generations did. That's why when I'm doing something and my kids they either were helping me or they'd see what I was doing, like, oh, let me show you something, Dad. Oh, I could have done this in 20 seconds instead of 2 hours. Thanks. All kinds of crazy stuff. Auto salvage. I learned computers hard way. Brought one. I don't know what you're saying. Okay, so I guess you bought a broken one and took the whole thing apart and fixed it myself. Okay. Thank you for that. William, can you come to Statesboro to help me with my 65 Mustang? You never know. You never know. Robert, the brake fluid may be leaking out of the back of the master cylinder and running down the inside of the firewall. That's what I was saying. It's got to be going somewhere. And if it's, getting inside the firewall, it could be getting in underneath the carpet or whatever. You need to have a good look at it. Terry, what was your favorite subject in school? That's a good question. Believe it or not, I liked English and literature. As far as, regular classes, English and literature. And after that, probably math. I would guess that would be my things. I've always been, I was always really good at writing like short stories, believe it or not, poetry, stuff like that. I always feel like I've been really good at it and conveying stories, that sort of thing. I've actually thought about, I have technically, I guess, 3 YouTube channels, and I thought about putting some other stuff on one of my other channels, just where I was telling stories or talking about things. You know what I mean? I thought about doing stuff like that. I don't know if it ever happened, but those were the stories those were the subjects that I was probably the best at. at least in my opinion. But Terry, I'll tell you this. I probably talked about this before. I know I have, but when I went to finish high school, went in the military, and I was in the mortar platoon because of my math skills. They were really, you had to understand math and formulas and how to make things work to fire mortars. And so when I got out of the military and I went to A&P school, uh, I progressed really well. The math that we had to use there was, of course, trig and geometry and all these different things. Had to progress through all that, and I did really well with that. So when I got out of A&P school and I went to work for the airline, again, math, figuring out, making doublers and, stuff, measurements and all these different things you have to do. Well, I'd actually gone to a welding school to finish up getting my Army College Fund, drawing out the rest of the money that I had to finish. You have 10 years from the time you get out. And I was running out of time, and I knew I had to get that money out of there, let's say. So I went to school for welding because I already knew how to weld, and I was just kind of breeze through. Well, the course had part of the certificate program or whatever. You had to have psychology, English, and math were the three subjects you had to take secondary, like do your regular studies and then do these other things. Well, I'd done all the welding and I'd done the psychology, and then they had, I think I still had the psychology, the last credits to do, the English, the math, and psychology. Well, the scheduling was at night, and you had to go like 3 nights a week. And so I got there, and they said, "Oh, you're going to have your English and math are on the same night at the same time, and psychology was at another time." And I was like, "Oh, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. I don't want to come because they said I have to come another 3 months just to take that one class." I said, "I don't want to do that." And they said, "Well, you can test out. You can test out." I was like, "Oh, okay." And the math guy was like, "You can test out," but he said he had been there 10 years, and he said only ever had one student test out on the math. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, you're about to have 2." He looked at me and says like, "No, I don't think so." So we sat down, all the class takes the test, and I was the only one to pass the test. And I ended up with a score of like 92 or something, or 80. I think I had 88. And then we were reviewing the test, and I said, "What did I miss?" And he was looking at me, and he said, "Oh, you messed up this formula for concrete." I said, "What do you mean I messed it up?" And he said, "Well, you did it this way." And I said, "Oh, yeah, I went like 3 steps past what you were asking for. If you take those numbers and you put them back this way, it'll come back to your answer." And he was like, "Son of a gun." He said, "Nobody's ever done that before." I said, "Well, there you go." Changed the score to 92 or whatever. And I said, "All right, thanks." And I happened to take the English test out as well. And I did not have the experience. I've been doing math and stuff for years with the airline and all that stuff, but I've been away from English and all the proper use of words. And so, anyway, I took the English test and I did not pass it. I ended up with like a 68 and I needed 70. So I had to come there anyway to take the psychology course. So I really didn't care about, I went ahead and took the English course as well, but it was funny to take that math test. And the guy was just kind of like, "All right, see ya." Shame. When I was in 5th grade, I had an Atari 2600. For some reason, they called it a computer system. Well, I guess technically it is a computer system, right? And when you think about it, you're inputting something, it's computing and it's processing, and it creates what you're doing, right? So I guess it is technically a computer system. Trying to think, Atari. I mean, I didn't even have an Atari. My friend had an Atari, and I used to go to his place. And I think the 2600 was the first version, and then he ended up getting the 5200. Greg, hi Barry. How is everything? I'm glad you're here, Greg. I hope everything is well with you. Randall, good night all. Glad you're here, Randall. Otto, I can't type tonight. Yeah. I noticed. John is probably leaking into the brake booster. That's a thought too. Well, no. 66 Caprice, if it's got drum brakes, it doesn't have a booster. It shouldn't have a booster, but it might. I'm going to assume it doesn't, though. Terry Keithley is saying, my wife, LOL. Oh, she's the one asking the questions? Oh, she was your favorite subject. I get it. Doyle, never pump brakes on empty master cylinder. It will put air in lines. And bleeding is a must then for sure. Yeah. Yeah, bench bleed it. You know, they sell those little kits. Pretty simple to use, but I would I would bench bleed it. Fly Poo is checking in. Glad you're here. Brian B, I'm late to the conversation, but if the car has power brakes and no puddles, it could get pulled in the booster, then burn, bad master and booster. Okay, that's a good point. That is a good point. Fly Poo, I have to go. Okay. Subscribe to Joe Daddy's Garage. Awesome. Thank you for that. And Terry's talking about his wife was his favorite subject. Rick, I bought an Atari 2600 off eBay with a huge box of cartridges a few years ago. Why? Because I wanted it. Yeah. I think we still have our first Nintendo. I think when my wife and I got married, I think the Nintendo was a wedding gift. And so we would sit there and play River City Ransom. Some sort of game where you had to fight bad guys. It was pretty cool. Ron, taking off. Have a good evening. Yep. I'm getting close to my quitting time too. I'm getting close. Robert, I still have my TI-994A. It was an 80s computer thing that cheated at chess. Okay. Those, oh crap, no brakes moments, not fun at all. Yeah. Definitely know when you got to make sure the brakes are working. Like I said, check those brake hoses too. If you're redoing brakes, always on these old cars, check those brake hoses. Because if those things are going bad, then you're in trouble. You're in trouble. All right. It's been fun. I'm going to get in the house, get some snacks, maybe watch a little football. But let me see. Robert, it would lock up on your winning move, wouldn't let you win. Yeah. And Greg is saying high brake fluid is going out the tailpipe. That's a possibility. That is very much a possibility. All right, Terry, we'll see you Thursday. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to try to get, I already have video number 4 for the Honda Civic loaded. It'll come out tomorrow. I've filmed the 5th segment as well, and that's going to be test fitting all this front stuff. There will be the next one, part 6. I will be scuffing and trying to get the paint ready. But in the meantime, before I get to that point, I need to get focused on getting this radiator swapped out in Jade. So I may have to just shift gears a little bit, and because I've already pulled the radiator out, and I'm not going to paint this stuff in here. It's got to go in the paint booth. So it'll be a little bit of a swap. I need to get, it wouldn't take much to hook some hoses up on Jade and drive it out, but I would like to get the radiator done, and I want to get that looking good. So that'll be up next, or will be up soon. But I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating. This has been fun. It's always nice to have interactions, people asking questions, people answering questions, offering ideas, and it's great to have you all participating in that. So I'll be back on Thursday at 3. And until then, I hope you have a good week. And until then, take care of yourselves. See ya.